Hello everyone, my name is Ronak and you are watching VectorWart. So in today's video, we will take a look at the Avalonia data grid control. So our data grid control displays repeating data in customizable grid. The control can be styled, templated and bound. The data grid needs to be bound to an observable connection in a view model that can be found in a related data context. So here I am creating a new Avalonia project. I have given the project a name and this is the first time that I am building this project. Here you can see that I am using a design previewer and it is asking me to rebuild this project for the first time. If you do not see the previewer, please check out my previous video. So now first we need to add the Avalonia data grid NuGet package. So this is an additional Avalonia UI package to use the data grid in our project. So let's go to the NuGet package and download this or install this package to our project. And make sure that the version that you select should be same as the framework version that you have selected while creating the project. So let's wait for this to install. Let's see the output and it has successfully installed. Next, let's close the window and go to the Solution Explorer and open the app.xaml file. Here we need to do a change, and that would be under the styles, and we will include the style include property. So we must reference the data grid themes to include the additional styles that the data grid uses. So we can do this by using the style include element to the application app.xaml file, and the source would be the data grid themes fluent XAML source. So there are some useful properties which we will take a look at once we design the grid. For now, let's go to the main window.xaml and remove this text block that was default. And let me resize this window and fit the content. Next, we are going to do is we will open the Solution Explorer and add a class called person. So this class will hold the properties that will be displayed in the grid. So let me create this person class first, and let me change the access specifier to public. Next, let's add two properties. Let's use this IntelliSense and change this into string, and the property name would be first name. Let's make a copy of this and change it, change the first name property to last name. So we have two properties, first name and last name. Next, we will instantiate these properties in this method, which accept two attributes, that is the first name and the last name. I mean the constructor, and inside the constructor we are setting the two properties, first name and last name, with the values that will be passed when the class is instantiated for the first time. So we have the first name and last name instantiated. Now the class is ready. So let's move to the view model. So let me close this class and open the main window view model and remove this default text that the text box was using. And here we will create an observable view model, observable view collection. So this example uses the MVVM pattern with data binding to an observable collection. And if you want to know more about observable collection, you can check out the website on Microsoft. Next, we will remove this set property. We do not need a setter property here. And next, we will create a constructor for this main window view model, and inside this constructor we are going to create a list of type person, which is the new class that we created. And inside this list, we are going to add three person information, and I will speed up the process here because the video will be lengthy. So here we have the first person name, that would be Neil Armstrong. Let me copy this and paste it twice. And let me change the names here. So we have created this list of type person, and let me change the first name and last name properties or the text. Once that is done, we will move back to our designer or the XAML window, where we will use these content that we created and bind it to our data grid. So let's go back. Before that, let's create this observable collection of type person and include this people as a attribute. And now on the main window.xaml, let's create a data grid. Let's set the margin of 20. Let's change the item source and bind it to the people. And next we will set the auto-generated columns property to true. And the next property that we are going to set is the read-only property. There are several other properties that you should try and explore. And the next property that we are going to target would be the grid line visibility, and that would be all. Next is the border thickness. I will set that to 1 and the border brush to gray. Now all that is done, let's build the solution and see our grid view or the grid data grid in action. So here you can already see this in the designer preview, how it would look like. The build is taking quite some time to load, but I think it is ready now. So here you can see we have our grid view. We can sort, and you can see that the default theme is applied. So to change that, you can go to the Solution Explorer, open the app.xaml file, and change the theme variant to light or dark based on your preference. So next, in this example, we are going to take a look at the other properties of the data grid view. So the property names from the item class will generally not make good column names. This example will add column headers names to the grid. It will also allow column reordering, resizing, and disallow the default column sorting options. So here in our grid view, we'll add some other properties. So the first one would be can user reorder columns, and we will set that to true. So before that, let me remove the uh, auto-generated columns to true property. And here we have added the can user reorder columns to true. Next property would be can user resize columns, and we'll set that to true. And the last one would be can user sort columns, and that we will set to false. and we will leave the rest as is. And here we will add data grid columns, and inside these columns tag we are going to add two types of columns. One is not two types, but just one type. That would be the text column. You can check out the other types of columns available in the Avalonia data grid. But for now, we will be using the text column. So in this text column, we will set the header to first name, and we will bind this column to the first name property that we have in our person class. Let me check the name, the exact name in the person class. So let me go back to the person class. I have closed that window. So here it is. It's not camel case. So let me copy this and paste it here in the bindings. Next, I will make a duplicate of the first line and paste it. And this would be the second column, and the header would be the last name, and the binding would also be last name. So once this is done, let me run this application once again. So now you can see, because of the additional properties, we can rearrange, reorder the columns in this data grid. In the next example, we will see how the data grid can accept changes and update the underlying collection and use different column types to edit the data. So we will go back to our data grid. We will remove the attributes that we added in the previous step. And now we are going to add one more type of column, and that would be the checkbox column. So let me type in the data grid checkbox column. Same as it is exactly same as the other column types. So the header would be fictitious question mark, and then set the binding to a property from the person class that would be is fictitious. But this property is not available yet, so we'll have to create it. So let me finish this first. Close this and copy this name that we the property name from here. Go back to our person class and create this property. So that is done, and we'll set this property in the constructor of the person class. And now the next change that we have to do is to set the default value in the view model. So let's go to the view model and add the pass the property value here. Let's set this to false, and the next one can be true. It's just an example. So that was all about the data grid. If you like this video, please do share your comments in the comment box, and do let me know what would you like to learn next. So, and if you are interested in the code, I can leave a link in the description to the GitHub repository where you can download this simple code. So, till then, bye bye.